Welcome back to month 2 of the BMAD method track. Last month you learned how to use BMAD, how to activate agents, run workflows, and deliver products end-to-end. This month, you're going to learn how to build BMAD. You're moving from consumer to creator. The BMad Builder, or BMB, is a meta creation layer that sits on top of the BMAD method core, where month 1 taught you to use agents like Mary, John, Winston, Bob, and Amelia. Month 2 teaches you to create entirely new agents, design new workflows, and package them into distributable modules. This is the difference between driving a car and building a car. By the end of this month, you will have designed an agent from scratch, built a workflow with the 3-mode architecture, and packaged both into a module that other teams can install and use. That is your milestone, a published BMAD module. The structure is 4 weeks, with a time commitment of 60 to 80 hours total, roughly 15 to 20 hours per week. The increase from month 1 reflects the complexity of the artifacts you're building. An agent YAML definition is more intricate than a PRD, and a workflow package with 3 modes has more moving parts than a sprint plan. The format remains self-paced with weekly mentor sessions. Your mentor sessions this month should focus on design reviews. Bring agent persona drafts, workflow architecture sketches, and module briefs. The earlier you get feedback on designs, the less rework you'll face later. Your milestone is a custom BMAD module, a module with at least 1 agent and 1 workflow, properly packaged, validated, and presentable. The module must pass BMB validation, meaning Bond, Wendy, and Morgan all need to sign off on their respective pieces. You already have the BMAD fundamentals from month 1. You know how agents behave, how workflows execute, and how artifacts chain together. Now you're learning to build those things yourself. By the end of this month, you'll be able to do 5 things, each building on the last. First, install the BMB module. This extends your existing BMAD installation with the builder agents and commands. Understanding how BMB sits on top of BMM core is important for everything that follows. BMB doesn't replace the core. It adds a creation layer above it. Second, master Bond, Wendy, and Morgan, the 3 BMB agents. Each one specializes in a different layer of the BMB stack. Bond builds agents, Wendy builds workflows, Morgan builds modules. You need to know which agent to use for which task, just like you learned to distinguish Mary from Winston in month 1. Third, design custom agents. This means writing agent YAML from scratch, persona definition, command structure, knowledge base, sidecar configuration, and core principles. The agent YAML schema is the most important technical artifact you'll learn this month. Fourth, create structured workflows with the 3-mode architecture. Every workflow must support create mode, edit mode, and validate mode. This is not optional. It's the fundamental design pattern that makes BMB workflows reliable and maintainable. Fifth, bundle everything into a shareable module. A module is the distribution unit. It packages agents, workflows, and knowledge into something other teams can install. This is how you scale your work beyond your own project. Just like BMAD has 5 core agents, BMB has 3 specialized agents. Each one owns a specific layer of the creation stack. Bond is the agent builder. His specialty is architecture and BMAD compliance. When you create an agent, Bond guides you through the YAML schema, reviews your persona design, validates your command structure, and checks that your agent follows BMAD conventions. The key commands are BMAD, BMB, create agent, and BMAD, BMB, validate agent. Bond is strict about compliance. He will reject agents that don't follow the schema. Wendy is the workflow builder. She's a process design expert who specializes in the 3-mode pattern, create, edit, and validate. When you build a workflow, Wendy helps you define entry and exit points, design step sequences, and package everything into the correct directory structure. Her key commands are BMAD, BMB, create workflow, BMAD BMB workflow, and BMAD BNB validate workflow. She also validates maximum parallelism with BMAD BMB validate max parallel. Morgan is the module builder. She's the full-stack systems designer who takes your agents and workflows and packages them into distributable modules. Morgan handles the module manifest, dependency declarations, knowledge base indexing, and integration with BMM core. Her key commands include BMAD BMB create module brief, BMAD BMB create module, and BMAD BMB validate module. Each agent specializes in one layer. Bond handles agents, Wendy handles workflows, Morgan handles modules. Use the right agent for the right job, just like Month 1 taught you. The agent YAML schema defines the structure of every agent in the BMAD ecosystem. Understanding each component is essential. Persona is the agent's identity and voice. This includes the agent's name, role description, communication style, and areas of expertise. A well-designed persona is not just flavor text. It shapes how the AI responds, what tone it uses, and what kind of guidance it provides. Consider how different Winston's adversarial architect style is from Mary's encouraging brainstorming style. That difference comes from persona design. Commands define what the agent can do. These are the / commands users invoke to trigger specific behaviors. Each command has a name, a description, and defined behavior. Good command design means clear boundaries. Each command does one thing well, with no overlapping responsibilities. Knowledge base is the agent's domain expertise. It's structured as an index.csv file that references markdown fragments in a knowledge directory. The key insight here is runtime resource loading. The agent doesn't load its entire knowledge base at startup. It loads fragments on demand based on what the current task requires. This keeps context windows clean and prevents information overload. Sidecar config controls runtime behavior. This is where you define agent activation rules, context loading behavior, and session management. The sidecar is what makes your agent work correctly within the BMAD runtime. Core principles are the behavioral constraints the agent must always follow. These are the guardrails, things like always validate before proceeding or never skip a checklist step. They prevent the agent from going off track. Menu structure is what users see when they activate the agent. It's the organized listing of available commands, presented in a logical grouping. Good menu design makes the agent discoverable and user-friendly. Bond guides you through each of these components using the create agent command. You don't have to memorize the schema. Bond walks you through it step by step. Week 1 has 6 topics spread across 15 hours. BMB installation takes about 2 hours. You're adding the BMad Builder module to your existing BMAD environment. After installation, you should have 3 new agents available: Bond, Wendy, and Morgan, and a new set of BMB commands. Verify the installation by activating each agent in a fresh chat. BMB overview takes 2 hours. This is where you meet Bond, Wendy, and Morgan and understand how they relate to each other. The key mental model is layers. Bond creates agents, Wendy creates workflows that agents execute, and Morgan packages agents and workflows into modules that others can install. Each layer builds on the one below it. Agent YAML schema deep dive is 3 hours. You'll read through existing agent YAML files from the BMAD core, examining how Mary, John, and Winston are defined. Study the persona definitions, command structures, and knowledge base references. The goal is to internalize the pattern before you create your own. Agent design patterns takes another 3 hours. Study existing agents to understand the patterns. Look at core principles, menu structures, and how commands are organized. Notice how agents handle edge cases and error conditions. The best way to learn good agent design is to study good agents. Create custom agent is the big 4-hour block. Open a fresh chat with Bond and run BMAD BMB create agent. Bond will walk you through persona design, command definition, knowledge base setup, sidecar configuration, and core principles. Your first agent won't be perfect, but it needs to be complete. Validate agent is 1 hour. Run BMAD BMB validate agent to check your agent against the schema. Fix any validation errors. This is where you learn what Bond considers compliant versus non-compliant. This is the most important architectural concept in BMB. Every workflow must implement 3 modes: create, edit, and validate. Create mode, stored in the steps C directory, builds new artifacts from scratch. When you run a create command, the workflow executes steps sequentially, generating output files one step at a time. The key principle here is sequential step execution, never preload. Each step reads its inputs, produces its outputs, and the next step picks up where the previous one left off. This prevents context window bloat and ensures clean, predictable generation. Edit mode, stored in steps, modifies existing artifacts. Instead of regenerating everything from scratch, edit mode makes targeted updates while preserving the existing structure. This is critical for iteration. You should never have to recreate an artifact just to change one section. Edit steps are designed to be surgical. Change what needs changing. Leave everything else intact. Validate mode, stored in steps V, checks compliance and quality. Validate steps run schema checks, rule evaluations, and quality assessments. They produce pass or fail results with actionable feedback, not vague "something is wrong" messages, but specific details like which field in your agent YAML is missing or which step in your workflow has an incorrect reference. The reason all 3 modes are required is that real work is iterative. You create something, then you edit it based on feedback, then you validate it meets standards. If a workflow only supports create, you end up recreating from scratch every time. If it doesn't support validate, you have no way to catch errors systematically. All 3 modes are required in every workflow. This is a hard rule in BMB. Week 2 shifts focus from agents to workflows. You've built an agent with Bond. Now you'll build the workflow that agent executes. Workflow architecture. Entry and exit takes 3 hours. Every workflow has defined boundaries. The entry point specifies what triggers the workflow and what inputs it expects. The exit point specifies what outputs it produces and what conditions must be met for completion. Well-defined entry and exit points make workflows composable. One workflow's exit can feed another workflow's entry. 3-mode pattern is 3 hours of applying the create, edit, and validate architecture in practice. You'll implement all 3 modes for your workflow. Each mode has its own step sequence in its own directory. The create steps build artifacts, the edit steps modify them, and the validate steps check them. Workflow YAML schema takes 2 hours. Like agents have YAML definitions, workflows have a workflow YAML file that defines metadata, step references, and configuration. You'll learn the schema and how it connects to the step directories. Create workflow is the main 4-hour block. Open a fresh chat with Wendy and run BMAD BMB create workflow. Wendy will guide you through defining the workflow scope, designing the step sequences for all 3 modes, creating the supporting files, and packaging everything into the correct directory structure. Validate workflow is 1 hour with BMAD BMB validate workflow. This checks that your workflow package is complete, all steps are properly referenced, and the 3-mode architecture is correctly implemented. Edit workflow is 2 hours with MAD BMB edit workflow. This is where you iterate on your workflow based on validation feedback and your own testing. The first version of a workflow is never the final version, so this iteration step is essential. A complete workflow package has a specific structure on disk. The workflow MD file is the human-readable definition and overview. It explains what the workflow does, when to use it, and how it fits into the larger system. The workflow YAML file is the machine-readable schema. It contains metadata, name, version, description, and references to all the steps in all three modes. The BMAD runtime reads this file to understand what the workflow can do. The instructions in any file contains detailed execution instructions. This is what the AI agent reads when executing the workflow. It includes step-by-step guidance, decision points, and handling for edge cases. The checklist MD file is the completion and quality checklist. It defines what done looks like for this workflow. Both the agent and the human user reference this to verify completeness. Then there are 3 step directories: Step C for create mode, Step C for edit mode, and Steps V for validate mode. Each directory contains numbered step files, Do1 step MD, Do2 step MD, and so on. The numbering enforces execution order. Steps execute sequentially within a mode. You never run step 3 before step 2. Wendy scaffolds this entire structure with BMAD, BMB create workflow. You don't have to create all these files manually. Wendy generates the skeleton, and you fill in the content. The critical design decision is what goes in each step. A step should be small enough to fit in a single AI interaction, but large enough to produce meaningful output. Too many tiny steps waste context on handoffs. Too few giant steps cause context window overload. Week 3 is where everything comes together. You have an agent from week 1 and a workflow from week 2. Now you're going to package them into a distributable module with Morgan. Module architecture takes 2 hours. A module is the top-level packaging unit in BMAD. It bundles agents, workflows, and knowledge into a single installable package. Understanding module architecture means understanding dependencies, integration points, and the module lifecycle, how a module gets installed, activated, and used. Agent vs module decision takes 2 hours. Not everything needs to be a module. A standalone agent is simpler and faster to build. A module makes sense when you have multiple agents that work together, when you have workflows that those agents execute, or when you have shared knowledge that multiple agents reference. If you just need one agent with no workflow, a standalone agent is the right choice. Create module brief takes 3 hours. Before building the module, you create a brief with BMAD, BMB, create module brief. The brief defines the module's scope, its agents, its workflows, its knowledge base plan, and its integration points. This is the planning document that guides the actual module creation. Create module is the big 4-hour block. Run BMAD BMB, create module with Morgan. She'll scaffold the module structure, integrate your agent and workflow, set up the knowledge base with CSV indexing, and generate the module YAML manifest. Validate module takes 2 hours. Run BMAD BMB validate module to check that your module is complete, all components are properly integrated, and everything passes schema validation. Edit module is 2 hours of iteration based on validation feedback and testing. This includes refining the README, adjusting the module YAML, and polishing the knowledge base. A complete module has a specific directory structure. The module YAML file is the module manifest. It contains the module name, version, description, author, dependencies, and references to all agents and workflows in the package. This is what the BMAD installer reads to understand the module. The README and file is the usage documentation and setup guide. It explains what the module does, how to install it, how to configure it, and how to use its agents and workflows. This should be written as if someone else will use your module, because that is the entire point of packaging. The agents directory contains agent YAML definitions. Each agent has its main YAML file and an optional sidecar YAML file. Your custom agent from week 1 goes here. The workflows directory contains workflow packages. Each workflow is a subdirectory with the full package structure: workflow MND, workflow YAML, steps C, and steps V. Your custom workflow from week 2 goes here. The knowledge directory contains the shared knowledge base. The index.csv file maps topic identifiers to Markdown fragment files in the fragments subdirectory. This is how agents look up domain-specific knowledge at runtime. Morgan scaffolds and validates this entire structure. Just like Bond guides agent creation and Wendy guides workflow creation, Morgan guides module creation. The three BMB agents cover the full stack. The key insight about module packaging is that it forces you to think about distribution. When something is packaged as a module, it needs to be self-contained, all its dependencies declared, all its knowledge included, all its instructions complete. This discipline produces better artifacts, even if you never actually distribute the module. Week 4 is the culmination of everything you've built. You'll use party mode to orchestrate multi-agent collaboration, integrate your module with BMM core, and deliver your capstone presentation. Party mode takes 3 hours. The party command lets you orchestrate Bond, Wendy, and Morgan together in a coordinated session. Instead of switching between agents in separate chats, party mode manages the handoffs automatically. This is useful for end-to-end module development. Bond creates the agent, Wendy creates the workflow, Morgan packages the module, and the transitions happen within a structured flow. It's a powerful productivity multiplier once you understand the individual agents. Module integration with BMM core takes 3 hours. Your module doesn't exist in isolation. It needs to integrate with the BMAD method core system. This means your agent's commands need to work alongside existing BMM commands. Your workflow's entry and exit points need to connect to BMM workflows, and your knowledge base needs to be accessible through the standard BMAD runtime resource loading mechanism. Integration testing is where most module issues surface. Capstone polishing is 4 hours of dedicated time to finalize everything, fix validation errors, improve documentation, clean up the knowledge base, and ensure your module is presentation ready. The extra investment in polishing is what separates a good module from an excellent one. Extension modules takes 2 hours to explore how modules extend and integrate with each other. A module can depend on another module, reference its agents, or feed its workflows. This is how the BMAD ecosystem scales, through composable, interconnected modules. Capstone presentation is 3 hours, including preparation and delivery. You'll give a 10-minute presentation covering 5 sections. The problem your module solves, the design decisions you made, a live demo of the module in action, lessons learned, and a Q&A session. The Month 2 challenge is worth 100 points across 4 deliverables, plus a cognitive exercise. The challenge is to build and publish a custom BMAD module. The module must contain at least 1 custom agent and 1 custom workflow, properly packaged and validated. Everything is submitted via GitHub with all validated artifacts. The 4 deliverables are evenly weighted at 25 points each. Custom agent creation with Bond covers the agent design document, YAML definition, persona, commands, knowledge base, and passing validation. Custom workflow creation with Wendy covers the workflow design document, 3-mode implementation, checklist validation, and at least 1 edit iteration. Module packaging with Morgan covers the module brief, complete package, module YAML, integration with BMM core, and RAIDIM documentation. Party mode and capstone covers the multi-agent collaboration exercise and the 10-minute presentation. The cognitive exercise asks you to analyze 3 scenarios and decide whether each one calls for a standalone agent or a full module. For each scenario, you need to justify your choice. Stating agent or module without reasoning is insufficient. The pass threshold is 60 points out of 100, but there are hard requirements beyond the score. Your agent, workflow, and module must all pass validation. If anyone fails validation, the challenge is not passed regardless of point total. Each deliverable is worth 25 points. Custom agent at 25 points requires an agent design document that explains who the agent is, what problem it solves, and how it fits into a workflow. You need a complete YAML definition with persona, commands, knowledge base, sidecar config, and core principles. You need a functioning knowledge base with an index.csv and meaningful knowledge fragments. And you need passing validation from bond, no errors, no warnings. Design quality matters. A technically valid agent that has a vague persona and poorly defined commands will score lower than one with crisp, specific design. Custom workflow at 25 points requires a workflow design document explaining the workflow's purpose, entry and exit points, and step architecture. You need a full workflow package with all 3 modes implemented: create, edit, and validate. You need a complete checklist. You need passing validation from Wendy. And you need evidence of at least one edit iteration, meaning you created the workflow, validated it, found issues, edited it, and revalidated. This proves you can use the full create, edit, validate cycle. Module package at 25 points requires a module brief created with Morgan, a complete module package with the proper directory structure, successful integration with BMM core, and a RAIDM that another engineer could follow to install and use your module. Capstone presentation at 25 points requires a party mode exercise demonstrating multi-agent collaboration and a 10-minute presentation with 5 sections. Problem statement, design walkthrough, live demo, lessons learned, and Q&A. The live demo is the most important part. Actually showing your module working is more valuable than describing it. The grading scale follows the same A through F pattern as month 1, with criteria reflecting the increased complexity of month 2. An A 90 to 100 means your module is production ready. All validations pass. The agent has a clear, well-designed persona with comprehensive commands. The workflow implements all 3 modes correctly. The module package is complete, well-documented, and integrates smoothly with BMM core. A B 75 to 89 means strong execution with minor refinements needed. Your agent and workflow work well, validations pass, but there might be gaps in the knowledge base or the documentation could be more thorough. A C 60 to 74 means all components are present and functional, but there are quality issues. Perhaps the persona is generic, the workflow steps are poorly sized, or the module documentation is thin. D, F indicate missing components or validation failures. If your agent doesn't pass bonds validation, if your workflow is missing a mode, or if your module package is incomplete, you're in this range. The pass threshold is 60% overall, but there are hard requirements beyond the score. Your agent, workflow, and module must all pass validation. You must have all 3 modes implemented in your workflow. These are non-negotiable. The assessment weight is 25% weekly assignments, 25% mentor evaluation, 40% milestone delivery, and 10% peer feedback. The milestone is worth the most because it's the comprehensive demonstration of your creation layer skills. 6 tips that will make the difference between struggling and succeeding this month. First, start with a real problem. Building an agent that solves a hypothetical problem produces weak designs. Think about something you actually need: a code review agent for your team's specific conventions, a documentation agent that follows your company's style guide, an onboarding workflow that walks new developers through your codebase. Real problems produce better designs because you understand the requirements intuitively. Second, design the persona before writing YAML. Consider who this agent is, what their communication style is, whether they're encouraging or challenging, detailed or concise. These personality decisions shape every command and every response. If you start with YAML and try to retrofit a persona, it feels generic. If you start with a vivid persona and translate it to YAML, it feels authentic. Third, validate, and often. Running validation after every significant change is far more efficient than waiting until the end. Validation errors are easier to fix when you've only changed one thing. Waiting until the end leaves you with a pile of errors and no idea which change caused which error. Fourth, study existing agents. The best teacher is working code. Read the YAML definitions for Bond, Wendy, Morgan, and the BMM core agents. Notice how personas are structured, how commands are organized, how knowledge bases are indexed. Pattern recognition is your fastest path to good design. Fifth, 3 modes are not optional. Every workflow must have create, edit, and validate. Some people try to skip edit mode or treat validate as an afterthought. The 3-mode architecture is what makes BMB workflows maintainable and reliable. Skipping any mode undermines the entire pattern. Sixth, document as if someone else will use your module. That is the whole point of module packaging. If your reading requires telepathy to follow, your module isn't ready. Write clear instructions, explain the setup, document the commands, and describe the expected outputs. For required reading, the BMad Builder docs are your primary reference, covering the agent, workflow, and module specifications in detail. The BMAD GitHub repo has source code, examples, and templates you can study. The module template is a reference implementation showing what a well-structured module looks like. The how-to guides provide step-by-step tutorials for common tasks. And the 3-mode pattern documentation explains the create, edit, validate architecture in depth. Unlike month 1, where the getting started tutorial was sufficient, month 2 requires deeper engagement with the documentation. You'll be referencing the YAML schema specifications repeatedly as you build your agent and workflow. For tools, you need BMAD plus BMB installed. Both the core and builder modules must be active. Node.js 20 or later is still required. Your AI ID, Cloud Code, Cursor, or Windsurf is your primary interface. New for month 2, a YAML linter is strongly recommended. You're writing a lot of YAML this month, and syntax errors in YAML are notoriously hard to spot by eye. A linter catches them immediately. A markdown editor remains useful for knowledge-based development and documentation writing. Make sure all tools are set up and working by the end of week 1. That's the overview for month 2. 4 intensive weeks lie ahead, and each week has a clear focus. Week 1 is Bond, install BMB, learn the agent YAML schema, and build your first custom agent. This is your foundation. Week 2 is Wendy, master the 3-mode architecture and build a custom workflow that your agent can execute. Week 3 is Morgan, package your agent and workflow into a distributable module. Week 4 is Party Mode, orchestrate all 3 agents together, integrate your module with BMM Core, and deliver your capstone presentation. The key principles from month 1 still apply. 1 agent per chat session, iterate rather than accept first outputs, and validate early and often. Add to those the new month 2 principles. Start with persona before YAML. Implement all 3 modes in every workflow, and document for distribution. This is month 2 of 3. Next month covers BMAD mastery, advanced module integration, custom knowledge-based design, and enterprise patterns. But first, it's time to build some agents, workflows, and modules.